Hello and welcome to Shoot the Hostage. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Dan.
We're a movie show that delves into a different film each week based around a theme. This season, the theme is cops. Like all good podcasts, this show contains explicit language and mature content, as well as major spoilers for the movie that we're covering. So, Season 1, Episode 1, and we are covering John Woo's Hard Boiled.
Not Hard Target.
Not Hard Target.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
What other movies begin with the word hard?
Hard Rain.
Obviously Hard Rain, yeah. That's a good one. Let me Google
Hard
that.
8?
Hard 8. Hard Candy.
Oh, yeah. There's quite a lot of films that start with the word hard.
Yeah, but we're doing Hard
And
Boiled.
yeah, we're only covering one of them. Hard Boiled. Is it 2 words or 1 word?
It's 2 words, directed by John Woo.
Yep, came out in 1992.
Yeah, just before John Woo swapped Hong Kong for New Orleans in the other Hard movie, Hard Target.
Yeah.
A year later that came out. And actually, Hard Target was my first exposure to John Woo, I would say.
Was it?
Yeah, because I was probably about 10 when I saw that.
I'm going to embarrass myself and probably horrify you by admitting that I've still never seen Hard Target.
Ooh, okay.
I'm sure you're going to rectify that sometime in the near future.
Very soon. It's a bunch of fun.
Immediately after recording, in fact.
Yeah. It's already on now.
Yeah.
What other John Woo movies are there that you've seen?
Right, okay.
Broken Arrow, you've seen that
I've
one?
seen Broken Arrow. I've seen Mission Impossible 2. I would say, look, this is embarrassing. You're going to have to pick up a lot of the slack this episode because my John Woo knowledge is quite limited.
Okay.
And embarrassingly, very limited to his American back catalogue.
I don't know an awful lot about the man. My first exposure was Hard Target.
Yeah.
Like Broken Arrow when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
Love Face Off. Probably.
Face Off. Of course I've seen Face Off.
Yeah. And I'm the one person that actually likes Mission Impossible 2.
We found him.
Yeah. Because it's a John Woo movie. Is it cheesy? Yes. Is it corny? Yes. Does it work entirely? No. But it's fun.
Bit of gunplay and some white doves. And you're sold.
Yeah. Bit of gunplay, bit of gun fu. I enjoy it a lot. But most of my exposure has been, unfortunately, the American movies. And in fact, I hate to admit it, Hard Boiled, when we watched it for the show the other day, it's the first time I've ever seen it. Mm-hmm. And it's the first John Woo movie I've seen that was made before Hard Target. So I've never seen a foreign language John Woo movie either.
This isn't a great start to our show, isn't it? Just exposing ourselves as a couple of Luddites that don't do subtitles very often.
Yeah, but that's the main reason, because obviously when I was a kid and I was watching Face Off and Broken Arrow and Hard Target, I loved them. And I was aware of Hard Boiled, but a very lazy teenage boy, I just wasn't interested in subtitles.
That's fair.
But it's kind of serving me well later on in life, because now I've got all of these movies that I haven't seen. That I'm going to enjoy. And it's, as we get older, it becomes more and more difficult to find movies that you haven't seen what are good.
This is very true.
So I'm kind of excited by that. And there's a few others actually that came out before Hard Boiled.
There's also, just quickly, there's a Hard Boiled 2. Am I remembering that correctly?
Hard Boiled 2.
But was that John Woo or was that somebody else?
I don't know. I never heard of it.
I might have just made that up.
I thought he was going to make some kind of joke. I thought it was going to be some sort of wordplay.
No, it's the first of his famous egg-based trilogy. Starting with Hard Boiled, leading on into Scrambled and Poached, obviously.
So between us then, our knowledge of John Woo movies extends to only English-based John Woo movies.
Yes, we're cretins. I would say this might be controversial, but I think it's probably a good time to sort of state that, yes, this is a subtitled movie. No, I don't think the dialogue is all that important.
No.
I was very confused for a lot of it, but I was having a whale of a time.
Well, it's quite kind of, I'm undercover, no, you're undercover, we're
all undercover.
Yeah, you're not undercover anymore. Maybe Tony's undercover. I think I just shot an undercover cop. So it's kind of difficult to follow, but doesn't really matter. You've got your two main leads, and then there's a bunch of great action sequences.
Okay.
Really long action sequences, but yeah,
there's right. There's like three main ones, which I'm sure we're going to discuss at length.
Yeah.
But before we do that, do you want to give a rundown for the uninitiated? A brief synopsis.
All right. So 1992, 126 minutes long. The synopsis is a cop who loses his partner in a shootout with gun smugglers goes on a mission to catch them. In order to get closer to the leaders of the ring, he joins forces with an undercover cop who's working as a gangster hitman. They use all means of excessive force to find them. Yeah, they do use all means of excessive force to find them.
Yeah, that's factually accurate. And I deeply regret not reading that before watching the film, because I think it would have made a lot more sense. I would have been a lot less confused for the first hour.
Okay.
But yeah, ultimately it's just about Chow Yun-fat as a gun-happy sad boy who just can't keep a best friend.
Yeah, that's about the size of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a policeman. He's quite laid back. He's an interesting hero. He's not uptight. I find often that heroes in movies are quite uptight and kind of focused on their goal. Either they're doing a bit of revenge or something.
They're just thinking about the job, whereas he's like, well, job comes first, but also jazz.
Yeah, he loves a clarinet. That's how this movie starts, isn't it? It's with Chow Yun-fat playing.
It wasn't a promising start. Jazz is never a good start, I'll be honest.
No, agreed. I was worried.
Yeah.
When I saw the clarinet, I was like, oh no.
Was it a clarinet or a saxophone?
It was...
some sort of...
wood...
instrument.
Wind-based instrument. Yeah. Is a clarinet a woodwind?
I want to say yes.
Was that a brass wind?
A brass wind?
Yeah.
I don't think a brass wind is a thing. Is it?
Yeah, I thought that was what tubas are.
That's just brass.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so musical-based opening scene. Thankfully doesn't last too long, or at least it's not too long before we get an action sequence.
Oh, it's like immediately after?
Yeah.
That was insane.
Yeah. In that first action sequence, there are actually John Woo's signature always birds in his movies, and there's a bunch of caged birds in that first action sequence in the tea room, I believe it is.
It is a tea room, and I actually looked into this because I was confused, and obviously that's... it's a cultural difference because we do not have that here.
What? Birds in tea rooms?
Yeah. Have you ever been to a tea room with birds in?
No.
Well, have you ever been to a tea room?
I've never been to a tea room.
You don't strike me as the tea room type.
We have cat rooms, don't we?
Cat cafes.
Yeah.
Cat rooms.
Yeah.
But in Hong Kong, it is a thing. So this is stolen directly from IMDb trivia.
Okay.
Before anybody accuses me of blatant plagiarism.
In with the trivia straight away.
Yeah. So in Hong Kong, there are classic tea houses where the city's older populace can escape their tiny apartments, drink, eat, and let their pet birds socialise. Which, I'm sorry, but it's just the cutest thing I've ever heard.
Let them socialise. I love the idea of just two birds like, hey, Gary, did you see football last night?
What, Dave?
Chirp, chirp, chirp. Okay.
Yeah. So that's like, initially I was just like, this is madness.
So what you're saying is that Hard Boiled is based on fact.
Bird and tea room fact, but not gun fact. And the laws of physics are also not obeyed.
No. I don't think this movie's ever heard of physics.
No.
But that's the
or
style.
Reloading.
Or well, no, there's a bit of reloading. I mean, if you count the bullets, then probably you think, I should have reloaded like 8 times.
Oh, yeah, no.
During this sequence. But there's some reloading.
I looked into this extensively because that was definitely something that struck me while watching. I was just like, I'm sure, like, I am no gun expert. I've never even held a gun. But I have very basic knowledge on how many rounds certain guns can hold. And apparently John Woo's kind of been quoted as saying, yeah, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
He finds like reloading and all the minutiae that keeps things grounded to, he thinks it grinds the action to a halt.
Okay.
So he just says,
nah, screw it.
Yeah, be damned.
I sort of respect that. I mean, you've got things. Obviously, a movie that was heavily influenced by John Woo style and the gun fu stuff. John Wick actually takes time to reload, and you can see him reloading. And that's kind of part of the action. I enjoy it, but I understand what John Woo's going for. He doesn't want to slow down because it's very fast-paced action. It's carnage. There's explosions everywhere. People jumping in through windows and everywhere you can see. But it makes sense because I know that he's kind of taking the old trope of kung fu movies, using swords and stuff like that, and he's just replacing them with guns.
Yeah, basically.
So you don't reload a sword, so why am I reloading that?
I mean, he seems quite self-aware from what I've read, in that he doesn't kind of necessarily view his films as high art or anything. He sees them as he sees them for what they are, which is just high octane action set pieces. Yeah. So I think for those reasons, absolutely the right call. Yeah,
it is an art form. Like a lot of his films and his action sequences feel kind of like a dance. But he's right; they are popcorn movies. You want to be entertained. You're not going there to learn anything.
And I would argue that although he did a lot of research, apparently he interviewed actual members of the police force, detectives. I don't think they were going for realism.
No.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of it was quite silly.
A lot of it was far-fetched. The action sequences, the plot even. I don't know much about triads and all that sort of thing, but I would imagine they probably wouldn't hide their guns in a hospital.
Yeah, I would go out on a limb and agree with you there.
What if the Joker blows up the hospital? You're screwed.
This would never fly with the NHS.
No, it wouldn't.
You'd never be able to get into the hospital to retrieve the guns. You'd be waiting 7 months for an appointment. But yeah, so not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I also read that the hospital itself was constructed. I don't know what the external shots were. I assume an actual hospital, apart from when it blows up. But the interior was built on an empty Coca-Cola bottling facility.
Okay.
And that was also the warehouse from that scene.
Right.
And I think it tripled as something else.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, going back to the start, so the tea room. I mean, that is such an explosive way to start a movie.
Yes.
Jazz aside,
yeah.
Jazz aside sounds like a really shit B-movie horror where somebody murders people with a clarinet.
I like it. Well, it sounded a bit on. Watch that. I was thinking more along the lines of some kind of 90s fad diet / dance.
Well, that would be Jazzercise, right?
Yeah. Does that already exist?
It probably exists, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, tea room shootout. Good action scene. Like it. Enjoyed it. He's jumping over chairs. You get the signature stuff. 2 guns. Slow motion.
Yeah.
It's just carnage straight away, and it lets you know what movie you're watching immediately, and I appreciate that.
Apparently that was written and shot before there was a script for the rest of the film.
Okay.
Which is an interesting way of doing things.
Yeah. So do you reckon that he just wrote that then, just put some cool things in the scene? Cherry on Fat's got a little cocktail stick in his mouth, plus birds, and he just kind of took that scene and then developed all these characters around that scene?
I hope so. I hope that's how it worked.
Yeah.
I know there was some collaboration in the intro because some of the stuff was improvised, or they thought of it on set, like the sliding. I fucking love the sliding down the banister thing.
Yeah, that's very cool.
That was excellent. The flower to the face.
Yep.
That was improvised.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know. I always kind of assume whenever I watch a film that there's a very clear vision, that a script happened and then everything else followed. So it's really interesting to hear about projects that absolutely just say, fuck that. We're going to be mavericks.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that was obvious from watching it.
No, not at all. I think it's probably, listen, I've never made a movie, but I think it's probably a good idea to sort of lock in what you want to do. also leave enough room to improvise, because you've got a bunch of creative people on set. You've got stunt coordinators and actors and directors and writers and DPs and so on and so forth, and they've all got their own ideas. So like on a day, something can inspire you, and so that sliding down the banister is actually, that's one of the most memorable. That's one of the images that I'll remember about this film.
Me too. Yeah.
There's 3 or 4 probably, but that's definitely one of them. So it's interesting that was just kind of like, oh, should we just slide down the banister?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right,
That's so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah. Apparently, that is how John Woo likes to work, because I haven't verified this, but I did read that he prefers to film his movies in sequence so that he can make them better as he goes along.
Okay, I wonder why he screwed up Paycheck so much. I don't blame John Woo for that.
I don't know. Maybe he just got to that point in his career, like a lot of directors do, and just start phoning it in.
How much money? All right.
In the John Carpenter and Dario Argento route.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to keep making them, but oh god, I can't be arsed.
Yeah, you can't make a 12A John Woo movie. I suppose you can. I call it Mission Impossible 2. But I enjoy that movie, but it doesn't work as well as these hard boils and hard targets, because a lot of it is blood splatter and how many squibs are going off in this movie.
Oh my god, I think that was one of my notes. Just like, what was the squib budget?
Yeah, a squib tally count.
I know what the body count was.
What was the body count?
307.
Ooh, what, in the first scene?
Yeah, the first scene alone.
Does that include the birds?
Oh, I like to think the birds survived.
Yeah, they probably just flew away.
Well, they've got that advantage over humans, and they're harder to shoot. That should have been hard target. Birds.
Even if they did fly away, though, they've been conditioned to live in a cage, so they'll probably die in the wild immediately.
Oh, wow. God, you're such a cynic. That went way darker than I anticipated.
I prefer to call it a realist.
All right, well, I guess I'm going to be the optimist in this scenario and assume that all the birds are still happily living out in the wild.
Okay. The birds are fine.
They formed a community. It's still going strong to this day.
How many dead bodies? 307?
307, apparently.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
That's a lot of carnage.
That is a lot of carnage. At least most of them were already at the hospital at the end of the movie.
What do you mean at least? You go to hospital to get better done.
Well, or dead. You go. I mean, they've got a morgue in hospitals, so.
Yeah, but that's like worst case scenario.
Yeah.
That's not why people go to hospital.
That's why dead people go to hospital. It's part of the reason why dead people go. Anyway, we're getting off track. 300 dead people.
Yeah.
Most of them killed by Chow Yun-fat. And also undercover friend, pal man. Please
don't ask me anybody's names. You know this is a major blind spot for me. All I remember is that Chow Yun-fat's pseudonym was Tequila. Yeah,
so Chow Yun-fat, we've got Tequila, and Tony Leung, Alan. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I'm sure in our subtitle version they referred to him as Long.
Yes, they did.
So Tequila and Long.
Right.
Yeah. Team up.
Tequila and Long.
Long Tequila.
That sounds like a better version of like Hobbs and Shaw or something.
Yeah, I guess
there was a buddy cop movie in there somewhere.
Weekend at Bernie's 2 is a better version of Hobbs and Shaw.
Just dragging around a dead weight for the entire film. Except in that case, it was the script.
The Irish band. Which one's the dead weight, The Rock or Jason Statham? Who can tell?
Oh, God.
Take your pick.
I
know which one I would choose.
Go on.
The Rock.
The Rock.
I prefer Statham.
Do you?
I think Statham's a better action star than The Rock.
I'll never forgive him for his appalling accent in The One. I'll never forget
The
that.
One?
I will never forget that as long as I live.
Leave The One alone. That's a fun movie.
I will not.
It's terrible, but it's
trash.
Fun. I like it a lot. Where were we?
Yeah, stylistically, I will say that I was not immediately sold on this film.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like, I don't know if I just got used to the style or if it improved as the film wore on, but I feel like that opening in terms of visuals was the weakest part.
Yes.
I think the action was incredible, but visually, I wasn't sold.
Yeah.
I think there was some really strange editing choices. The slow-mo started to do my head in. Like, they took it a step further than Garth Marenghi. Everything with dialogue was also considered for slow motion in this. And I don't know, I found that to be a little bit too much.
Okay. I enjoyed that.
Okay.
I kind of had my reservations initially, but as the movie went on, I kind of got more and more into it. It's interesting that when John Woo had his stint in America, that was him actually toned down, because this movie is just, if you took the slow motion out, it would probably be a 90-minute movie.
Yeah, for sure.
But as the film went on, I kind of got more and more into it, and that could partly be play to what you were saying, to your point just then, that I think the action did improve. I think the cinematography improved. I think maybe they just, because you say that they shot it in sequence as well.
Well, yeah, maybe this is like because they filmed the opening before they even had a script. Yeah. Perhaps they're like, maybe the entire budget wasn't in place. Yeah. Could have been any number of reasons. Maybe the crew changed.
Yeah. I think I was enjoying the film, and then when it got to the warehouse scene and it cut to the motorbikes approaching the warehouse.
Oh, that looked great.
That was when that's when I noticed this actually looks good. Like, it's gone from looking a bit shit to looking really good.
You don't have to say it quietly. It did. It looked pony.
And it was made in the early 90s. I bought
on a budget of about $4 to $4.5 million.
Was it?
I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so £4 million worth of squibs and then £500,000 worth of cherry on fat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it did. I did find that it got better looking as the film went on. I wonder if that had anything to do with the lighting. The stuff in the dark seemed to look really good. The dimly lit scenes seemed to look better.
Yeah.
But yeah, when those motorbikes were approaching, I was just like, oh, okay, this is going to be a good scene. I'm in for this.
That entire piece of action was just insanity.
Yeah.
And I was here for it.
We're probably skipping a little bit ahead.
We are.
So we've
completely glossed over the hit in the library.
Oh yeah.
Where Cherry and Fat, or Tequila rather, was doing some of his damn good detective work. He found the book. I did really respect that the assassin used a silencer in the library, though. Yeah. You've got to respect the rules, even in murder.
Well, you don't want to risk getting fined by the librarian, do you?
No. Or shushed. Yeah. Worse still. So embarrassing.
Do you know what? That library scene, I thought, that library scene amused me, because when they're on their way to the library, there was actually a bunch of slow motion of just him walking into the library.
Yeah.
Like going through the turnstile, just like slow motion. I was like, oh my God, is this whole thing slow?
Yeah. Like, we've been to a library before. Yeah. We don't need it slowed down.
Is he going to go to the loo and like put the hand dryer on in slow motion? Hair's blown around in the wind. Yeah. But so Long is undercover with the triads. He's kind of working for a triad boss who he seems to have quite a good relationship with, or at least they respect each other. Yeah. Yeah.
He seemed nice, like quite a mild-mannered paternal type for a triad boss.
Well, Long actually said, oh, there are worse people than you.
Yeah.
So he seemed like quite a nice gangland murderer.
Yeah.
So Long says, I'm never going to betray you. But he had his fingers crossed behind his back when he said it. He did, because he immediately traitored him.
Yeah.
And he went and started working for rival gang, who was paid.
Who basically becomes the film's big bad.
Yeah.
And I have to admit that I think that guy was horribly miscast.
Really?
Because he didn't look like a triad boss. He looked like he should have been like overseeing detention in a John Hughes movie. Do you not think?
He
didn't look scary in the slightest.
I thought it was all right. I thought actually one of my points was going to be one thing about John Woo movies is that I find them villains to be memorable.
Oh, disagree.
Okay.
I did like Mad Dog, though.
Mad Dog was interesting, yeah.
I like him. Basically, apparently that guy was a big action star in Hong Kong in the 1970s.
Right.
And at that point, in his career was mostly doing choreography and stunts, which was supposed to be his role on this film. But John Woo persuaded him to take more of an active role. Yeah.
And he was great. He was a really good presence, and kind of shades of grey. He wasn't a great bloke. I mean, he shot many people. He shot 120 of the 307 bodies. But it was interesting. He made some interesting character choices.
Well, there wasn't there was a moment towards the end in the hospital where he purposely didn't shoot kind of collateral damage, basically, patients in the hospital. Yeah. Which was, as you say, quite interesting. Yeah. Moral ambiguity. Well, kind of. He was a bad dude.
He was a bad guy. It just wasn't in the mood for gunning down victims here, there and everywhere. He just wanted to shoot the person that he needed to shoot and be done with his day and go.
I can respect that.
And have some toast.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Johnny Wong is the main bad guy. Long has to kill his original boss to kind of prove his worth to his new boss, right? Kind of.
Yes.
Because new boss is taking over. He needs to kill all of the old guard and take over that territory, etc. And that's what's happening in the warehouse.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I didn't fully comprehend that until it was actually happening. Okay. And I had a bit of I felt stupid for a hot second. I had a real moment where I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I get it now.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest, some of the dialogue was super confusing. And there's a lot of really odd stuff where Tequila goes to the police office and he's kind of talking to his boss and then interacting with what we later find out is his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend. Madam. Is that a name or is that like a code name?
I think it's a code name.
Tequila and Madam.
Yeah. On Letterboxd, she's listed as Teresa Chang.
Oh, right. There we go then. That makes far more sense. But they were kind of referring to each other by code names. And I was like, well, this is weird. And then they started singing and it got even weirder.
Yeah. I don't know what's
talking about flowers.
I don't know what's happening with the singing. There's some of this movie that I didn't get, but ultimately it doesn't matter.
I picked up on that stuff after a little while because obviously it was code. Basically, the notes that they were singing had an appropriate number assigned to them. So the code was based on the notes in the songs. Okay. And they had to figure it out so that other people wouldn't be able to decipher it.
Got ya. So they were like singing, there's a crime happening in the warehouse.
I mean...
Better go and zip line into the warehouse. Cherry on fat.
I would argue that would be fairly easy to decipher.
Yeah, no, you've got to translate it. Obviously mine's not in code because I don't know the code.
But yes, along those lines.
Okay.
You're on the right track. But yeah, speaking of the warehouse scene, in addition to the squib budget, I would like to see the purchase order for the grenades.
I believe it was just one grenade that they reused over and over. They had to keep running. Every time they reset, they had to go and grab the grenade.
Well, that's demonstrably untrue because Mad Dog holds 2 at one point.
Oh,
so
okay.
Maybe they fixed it in post.
Yeah, they added a CGI grenade in post. 1992 CGI grenade.
Yeah.
Yeah, grenades, explosions, general explosions in this movie.
It's insane. Yeah. So much stuff blows up.
Yeah, and it's great.
Like half of Hong Kong would be in ruins if this were factual. It's insane. But it did make me realise how much I miss squibs.
Squibs are great. Like, that's the problem in a lot of, I sound really old now, but modern action movies is...
CGI blood.
CGI blood, yeah. And even in the best practical stunt-based action movies, mention John Wick again because it's so heavily influenced by John Woo movies. Mm-hmm. But even that, like, the action is great and a lot of it's practical, but the blood splatter is CGI, and I do notice that. I think they've gotten better at it since the first movie.
It depends on the project. Some of them are still pretty bad. Yeah,
but physical blood spatter, you can't beat it.
Any kind of physical effects, if something is tangible, even if it doesn't look perfect, even if it looks a little bit ropey, it's real.
Yeah.
So I can suspend disbelief far more than I can for VFX.
I mean, it's like you go back now and you watch Mac and Me and you think,
which I do frequently.
That puppet is real. That looks so realistic. I'm so happy they went down the physical route. If they made Mac and Me now, it would be out CGI.
I mean, nobody would make Mac and Me now. They shouldn't have made it back then.
They shouldn't. I
would argue.
No.
As much as I hold it dear to my heart.
They didn't. Ronald McDonald did.
It was just a big tax write-off for Coca-Cola and McDonald's and Skittles.
Yeah. Executive producer was the hamburger.
Oh, me and Paul Rudd can't be wrong, surely.
That's a terrible movie. Yes, so practical effects, they look great, and the stunts
are great. Like, some of those people were truly throwing themselves through the air.
Yes,
the commitment to the stunts was brilliant.
That was kind of, you've got the force of the bullets coming out of the gun where they're kind of forcing them out. Let's move on.
But like, it's just a shame that this is an audio video.
I know,
because the motion that you were doing whilst saying that was what made me laugh.
Okay. You know what I'm saying. Like they kind of in a way they kind of throw the bullets out sometimes, and then equally when the bullets are received.
That's the weirdest way I've heard the description of somebody being shot before.
What I'm saying is one gives, one receives, all right? And you take that how you will.
Okay.
But no, the force in which they kind of get shot and their bodies get flung is just, I don't know, it's really effective. It's such a style and it's so synonymous with John Woo. And I just really enjoy it as a style. I love seeing all of the over-the-top gunplay and over-the-top reactions to being shot. Although I've never been shot, so that may well make me crash through a window.
We could arrange that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, we're recording this. So
if that's something you'd really like to experience.
You're not being very subtle. You're not going to get away with it, are you?
Well, I couldn't do it.
It doesn't matter. Like, you've got a motive now.
Well... Damn it.
You've been motivated.
We'll just scrub this from the internet. We'll pretend it never happened.
No, once it's on the internet, it's always on the internet.
This is all alleged. If Dan goes missing, I had nothing to do with it. I'd just like to point that out right now. But as you were saying, like, they definitely 100% said laws of physics be damned.
Yeah.
But as you say, the way people react to receiving a bullet, it makes it look so much more visceral and exciting.
But that's what he's all about, isn't it? Like you were saying earlier, it doesn't matter.
It's supposed to thrill. It's not supposed to be grounded.
We're here to do something slightly different and just have fun. You know what? You're just going to get a bunch of popcorn and you're going to have some fun in this John Woo movie. And he's been so... he's influenced so many people and so many movies that have come after that, and action movies. And I think the action genre as a whole is much better because of his style.
Yeah, I mean, I'm struggling to think of anything off the top of my head that is clearly directly influenced
Equilibrium
by him. Yeah, okay.
John Wick. All the John Wick movies, of which there are 4.
Yes.
Depending on when you listen to this, there will be 5 as well.
That's true.
At least, and a TV show spin-off.
Oh, fucking hell! I mean, I'm not complaining.
I wonder if Robert Rodriguez had just watched Hard Boiled before shooting Desperado. There's a lot of that. In fact, that's what I thought of immediately as soon as the film started.
Okay.
Even when he was playing the clarinet, I was thinking of El Mariachi.
Clarinet / saxophone.
Brass wind instrument. I thought of Desperado, and because obviously I know what John Woo's style is, and I know that Desperado is around about that time as well. I thought, I wonder if there are any influences. I wonder if Rodriguez was influenced by it, and I bet he was.
That wouldn't surprise me at all. It's been a long time since I've seen Desperado, but it wouldn't surprise me.
It's similar, way over the top action. Yeah. You're throwing your gun about and jumping over things, and people jumping through windows and stuff. Yeah, it's very similar.
I mean, John Woo's a real name.
Yeah.
So I think it's safe to say he has earned that spot.
He's a legend.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a legend.
Yeah. And I kind of regret not paying attention to his stuff more because I had such a blast with this. So it's kind of made me want to dig a bit more into his back catalogue.
Yeah.
Particularly the Hong Kong-based stuff.
Yeah, me too. And expand on what I was saying earlier about being exposed now or have access to way more good movies because I'm willing to read subtitled movies now, or watch subtitled movies. There's a bunch of stuff that I want to see. John Woo stuff, yes, but also Chow Yun-fat, some of his stuff, Jet Li. I'm excited. There's a bunch of action stuff that I'm excited to watch. And action movies, they're not a bad genre. If you're gonna watch movies with subtitles, action's not a bad way to do it because a lot of the time it doesn't really matter.
I was going to say, do you not find that harder though? Because there's so much going on screen. Is it not more difficult to then pay attention to what's being said as well? But I think actually the dialogue was, I wouldn't say minimal, but
it was there wasn't really much dialogue while there was shooting going on, and there was a lot of shooting going on.
There was a hell of a lot of shooting going on, yeah. And explosions.
Yes.
Did you know that Hong Kong has incredibly strict gun laws?
No.
And for that reason, they had to import all 200 guns that we used in the film from England.
From England?
Yeah.
This blows my mind. I
know.
Almost certainly you was going to say USA.
No, they were imported from England and had to be inspected by the Hong Kong police before they could be used on set. And they also had to import 100,000 rounds of blanks. That's where the budget went.
100,000 rounds?
Yeah.
Oh my lord. I want to work on a John Woo movie.
Maybe one day.
There's just one department, the gun department.
Yeah. We can get a job on Paycheck too.
Yeah. No, I can keep that.
Or maybe that was an ironic name.
Why?
Because the movie was literally just a paycheck to him.
Yeah.
It was hidden in plain sight.
Yeah.
So I'll do it, but I'm going to have a laugh.
Good for John Woo.
Yeah, get that coin. You've earned it. But yeah, so going back to what we were talking about, the first scene being filmed before a script was in place, there's a lot more to that story. So apparently the script was completely rewritten a week before shooting proper began. And the original plot involved a man poisoning bottles of baby formula.
I like it already.
Which was, yeah, I thought you might. But apparently it was inspired by true events.
Ooh.
Yeah. a little bit darker.
Yeah, even I know not to go down that road.
Yeah. But John Woo found the idea repugnant and decided to go in a different direction. But that is that goes some way to explaining the scene with the babies at the end.
Yes. Okay.
Makes a little bit more sense now.
Yeah. They were like, oh, we got to get rid of this poison baby storyline. But I really like... We've already paid for
all the babies.
We've got the chaperones here.
They're getting older as we speak.
Yeah.
We've got to do it quickly.
We've paid for all their hotels for the night. So we've paid for all the nappies. We've got dummies on set. Pacifiers.
Yeah.
Choose your lingo. Okay, yes. Baby stuff. I enjoyed the baby action scene actually. Have you seen? There's the Fast and the Furious movie where Jason Statham is holding a baby on an aeroplane and doing a bit of fight.
I remember him doing a fight on an aeroplane in Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, I think that's probably the same one.
Okay, I don't remember there being a baby. But then I don't remember a huge amount about any of those films.
You might just be confusing Jason Statham with the baby. It might be what's happening there.
Maybe.
No, but...
Perhaps I just thought his Thunderbolt was in the shot.
Yeah, so Jason Statham does a fight with a baby on a plane.
A fight with a baby? Yeah. That doesn't seem evenly matched.
I've had it with these motherfucking babies on this motherfucking plane.
That's probably been said a lot more than the snakes thing.
Probably. Yeah, but Jason Statham does a fight with a baby, and obviously it also must have been inspired by Hard Boiled, right? Must have been.
Probably, yeah. I don't think I realised until we watched this for the show
That there was a baby in
it. No, that was the one thing I did know because I'd seen the front cover. Right, so I spent an hour and 40 minutes being very confused.
I just don't understand. It's not been a single baby.
Yeah. Was this just random?
Yeah. It's going to turn into Look Who's Talking.
Oh, God. No. Yeah, I don't know. The baby stuff was very odd. That kind of came a little bit out of left field. I get it.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to have anybody in peril, like everybody's potentially us excluded, but most normal people's biological urge is to protect the small thing, right?
Most people don't enjoy seeing babies getting shot.
That's a fair statement, yes. Yeah. So it makes sense from that perspective.
Yeah.
But it did read as a bit silly.
Okay.
I didn't enjoy that stuff as much.
I was expecting more.
Babies?
More. Well, like you said, it's on the front cover.
Yeah.
He's holding a baby. And you think,
I thought maybe he was like a new father and that was going to feature into the story somehow.
You think it's going to be 2 undercover cops and a little baby?
Yeah.
Plus Steve Guttenberg. Yeah, I thought it would be more prominent. I thought it would be a bigger set piece, a la Fast and Furious, because that is a great action scene. So we want about Fast and Furious movies. Some of them are good. Some of them have good stuff in it. That is that's a good scene. So I thought it was going to be more of like the signature piece, but actually it was, the warehouse stuff, and actually the scene prior to that in hospital, the long take, is my favourite action scene. Maybe they were just, while writing the script, they were just like, oh, we're going to have to give our lone female character something to do. I know, babies. The babies. What else is she going to do? Yeah. Unless she gets to get someone. True, but I'm always disappointed. Like, the movie was such a sausage fest, which, fine. Yes. But if you're going to have any female characters, don't make them quite as meek or disposable. I don't know. It's 30 years old. I can't get too pissed off, but... Yeah, I understand that, yeah. That was like, deduct half a star for me. Okay. So going back to the script, apparently the co-writer, very sad, as you're sniggering. Oh, I was just reading a joke I'd written down. Oh, right. That was terrible timing. It was really bad timing. You look tremendously insensitive right now, prior to what I have to say. He passed away during filming. Yes. Heart attack. Obviously really, really sad. Apparently John Woo got the news while they were filming the warehouse scene. Right. But yeah, I don't know what the collaborative process was like. I don't know how much of the script he was responsible for. It makes sense that more than one person wrote this. Don't ask me to elaborate on that point. Let's just move on. Because I've got nothing. But that makes sense to me. It does feel a little bit schizophrenic in places. Yeah, you've got your action guys, and then you've got, how are we going to make this? Because it probably more, I don't know, but I would imagine probably more starts with set pieces. Like I want to do like a rig. All I want to do is see two people's faces swap. And then they just write backwards from there. Like all the best movies. Yeah. That is the best movies. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah. That makes sense to me. What did you think of the performances? Because I'm not very familiar with any of these actors. Chow Yun-fat aside. Yeah, good. I enjoyed Chow Yun-fat and I enjoyed Tony Leung. He is a fucking legend. I read something in the trivia. Basically, one of the scenes in the hospital towards the end, he's having the kind of shootout with Mad Dog, and they're shooting panes of glass out. And he soiled himself. He didn't soil himself. No. Well, he may have done. That wasn't in the trivia. That may have been an additional tidbit. No, I was just guessing. Oh right. No. He was caught in the eye. Oh shit. By a shard of glass. And do you know how long he took off to get medical attention before returning to filming? How long? A day. Double hard bastard. Oh wow. Wow. What a professional. What a pro, yeah. I respect that. But also, please go to an optometrist as soon as you can. Health first, I say. Yeah. Action sequences in movies can come second, I think. Yeah, that can wait. Health, yeah. Yeah. I enjoyed both the leads. I thought they were really good. I thought they were really good. And I also enjoyed the main villain, and you didn't so much.
I didn't. I didn't find him remotely imposing or threatening, and I know sometimes that can work better. Like if people are a bit sort of, if the character's kind of pared down, and there's nothing more terrifying than somebody who's really softly spoken and calm. Like that's way more frightening than somebody who's yelling in your face. Yeah. But just something about the way he looked and his demeanour. No, did nothing for me. It
worked for me. I because he was kind of wasn't.
Don't confuse that with me saying it's a bad performance. I don't think that.
I didn't think you were saying that. What the reason it worked for me is because he wasn't kind of immediately shouty. I'm just a villain. He was like, look, Long, you've got to kill your old boss. It's going to be hard. You've got to do it. I'm here for you. I'll kill him for you if you like. He was an understanding boss. That's what I'm saying.
I'll do a murder.
I'll do a murder. But, as the film goes on, he gets more and more chaotic and kind of loses it a little bit. But it's interesting. I enjoyed that kind of grey area kind of performance in a John Woo movie as well, because you fast forward a year and you go to Hard Target. Again, no spoilers for Hard Target, but Lance
Henriksen.
Lance Henriksen, I blank on his name. Lance Henriksen is a tour de force in that movie. He is great. It's possibly my favourite Lance Henriksen performance.
Wow.
He's brilliant, like so over the top, and he's a lunatic.
He's got quite a career of solid performances, so that is high praise indeed.
Yeah, okay, I don't want to oversell it for you. But...
Better than Near Dark?
Ooh, on a par.
Ooh, okay.
On a par with Near Dark, yeah.
Yeah, we are watching Hard Target immediately after this then.
Near Dark and
You've
Hard
sold
Target, double bill.
Okay.
That would work. Lance Henriksen. So I find the villains in John Woo movies to be quite... Obviously, in Broken Arrow and Face Off, it's kind of, John Travolta, and he's doing his John Travolta thing, which is fine.
Sometimes works.
Yeah.
Sometimes doesn't.
It's a bit much. So I guess I kind of appreciated the toned down villain in this one a bit more. I enjoyed everyone in this movie. I thought they were all great, and the action was really, really good. It's definitely one that I'm going to be revisiting.
Yeah.
If a little bit long. It could have been... Yeah.
I didn't mind the running time.
Well, like I said, if you cut some of those slow motion sequences down a little bit, then you probably shave 25 minutes off this movie.
Yeah, that's fair. So, did you know that when this was released and shown in UK cinemas, it was cut?
No.
Does that surprise you?
No.
No, not with the BBFC.
Yeah, Evil Dead was banned until 1997, wasn't it, or
something like that? Yeah. I mean, this wasn't obviously like video nasty status, but a lot of stuff. I mean, the DVD you've got, is it one of the Tartan Asia Extreme?
Yes.
Yeah, so a lot of that stuff was considered quite controversial, wasn't it, on release?
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the fact that it falls under the banner of Tartan Asia Extreme kind of tells you what you need to know.
Was it the baby piss that they cut out?
It wasn't the baby piss. Oh, my God. The baby piss. This is what I mean about how they cannot have played this 100% straight, because there was some weird cartoonish shit that went on.
Yeah.
That really kind of... It didn't pull me out of the proceedings, but it definitely made me stop and go, right, okay, this is what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
Just reassess ever so quickly.
That was an odd scene.
Yeah.
Like
it made me laugh, don't get me wrong.
Tequila catches fire, right?
Yeah.
He's just on fire, and then that's when he's
trying to
baby.
put himself out.
Yeah. But the baby pisses on him
and it puts the fire
out. So what they're saying is that the baby would piss on Chow Yun-fat if he was on fire.
Yes.
And he or she did.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell.
Mm-hmm.
If it was a lady or
or otherwise.
Or otherwise, yeah.
Maybe it was a non-binary baby.
Maybe.
You don't know.
Or NBB, as they call it.
Is that the terminology?
In hospitals, yeah.
Right,
if you've got a little check box that says NBB.
I don't think that's true.
What was cut? What was cut?
The only thing I could find was the beating of the informer Little Co lost 5 seconds of blows by the request of the BBFC in all UK versions, with the cinema version missing several of those seconds. There are reports that this footage was accidentally included in the dubbed rental video version, but the DVD editions released after 2001 are completely uncut.
Right, good.
So I don't know, are we to assume that we watched the completely uncut one then?
I think so.
I mean,
I don't know for sure. I want to say the DVD is like 2002 or something.
I would be shocked if they left everything else in but removed like 3 seconds of somebody getting beaten up.
Yeah.
That would be a very strange choice to remove that and nothing else.
Yeah.
So I would go out on a limb and say it was probably the uncut version.
I hope so. You never really know, do you? There's like some of these movies, there's multiple versions. I hope it's the uncut version. I would always choose to watch the uncut version.
Yes, with the exception of Cannibal Holocaust.
I've never seen Cannibal Holocaust, but I bet there's some
You'd hate
stuff
it.
that got cut out of that.
You'd hate it. Oh, it's just the animal abuse.
Yeah, no, it doesn't look like it's my kind of movie.
That stuff can get in the bin.
Yeah. So, any other you got any other trivia?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. That's me out.
So what do you reckon on Hard Boiled then? Overall, what were you expecting? Did it live up to your expectations? Did it fall short of your expectations?
There's just too many questions. I'm going to forget what you've said.
Did you like it?
I loved it.
Okay.
Like I say, I spent the first hour quite confused because I didn't know what the plot was. I didn't know what it was going to be. I struggled to follow it a little bit. Mm. It made me feel dumb. So I resented the movie for about an hour. I was expecting the baby on the cover to feature far more heavily.
You thought the baby was going to be like third or fourth build?
Yeah, I thought maybe that was going to be the other undercover cop or something.
Yeah.
He just went deep undercover as a baby.
Babies stay out. That's not what happens in everything.
I didn't really have very many expectations, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
I didn't know much about this film.
But you've seen John Woo movies.
I've seen a few John Woo movies, yes. Yeah. So I had an idea of the scale of the action and what some of the stylistic choices were going to be. Like I said before, I was a little bit surprised when we started watching the film because I thought it looked crap.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the action, but the excessive slow-mo and the fact that it looked like it was filmed on a potato kind of put me off a little bit.
And the jazz.
Yeah, fuck the jazz. Fuck the jazz.
Fuck the jazz.
Fuck all clarinets. I'm sorry. I feel bad saying that because apparently they included that because John Woo loves jazz. And
nobody's
clarinets.
perfect.
But yeah, that stuff aside, I kind of when I fully wrapped my head around what was going on, I was invested by that point and I was having a lot of fun with it. And the action set pieces were incredible, physically impossible, or well, implausible, if not impossible.
Yeah.
I particularly enjoyed the bit where Long got buckshot in his back and then just got up and carried on like nothing had happened. And then 2 minutes later, Chow Yun-fat just fucks off into the water like he's Aquaman. That really made me chuckle.
At the docks, yeah, that was fun.
But yeah, no, I had a really, really fun time with it and I would definitely watch it again.
Good.
I'd been more enthusiastic about watching it again now I know what I'm in for.
Yeah.
Actually.
Okay.
So what about you?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I like to rate movies as soon as I've watched them on Letterboxd, so I always give like an immediate score.
Do your scores change once you've percolated?
Constantly.
Do they?
Okay. Almost always change.
Okay, so what was your immediate rating?
My immediate rating was 3.5.
Oh wow, that surprises me.
Does it?
Yeah, I thought it'd be higher.
For the same reasons that you gave, that at the start it didn't look great.
Jazz,
the jazz.
babies.
It lost a star for the jazz. It lost a star for the babies. But then gained half a star when the baby pissed on it.
Right. Oh, that gained half a star. Wow. Lost half a star for the underwritten female role.
Yeah, no, but I had a great time with it. The more I think about it, the more I enjoyed it. I've rewatched some of the action sequences again on
Have
YouTube.
You?
Yeah.
Oh, you're such a nerd.
And I would definitely like to revisit it. It's not my favourite John Woo movie.
What is Hard Target?
If you'd
or
asked,
Face Off?
If you'd have asked me 15 years ago, it would have been Face Off.
Yeah.
But I would say I would probably put on Hard Target before anything else. It's a bit shorter. Mm-hmm. It's kind of in and out, knows what it is. Face Off is a bit more bloated. There's a lot in it, and I enjoy it. I enjoy those performances, way over the top. But I would probably put on Hard Target before I put on anything else. So I'm going to say Hard Target is my favourite John Woo movie.
Okay, well, where does this one stack up compared to the ones you mentioned then?
I would say Hard Target, Face Off, Hard Boiled, and then all the others. No, Broken Arrow. I've got a soft spot for Broken Arrow. It's not the best. I think that's mainly due to casting. Christian Slater. I enjoy some of his action stuff. I just don't buy him as an action star, really.
I've always preferred Christian Slater when he's just kind of doing a Jack Nicholson impression, like in Heathers, or having like a weird dual personality, like in Pump Up the Volume. That's the kind of era. Yeah. That's my favourite Slater era.
I think that's best Slater. I don't fully buy him as an action guy.
No, that's fair.
Although I really like Hard Rain and I really like Broken Arrow, but that's more to do with the John Woo-ness. Mm-hmm. And, Hard Rain, I don't think it's got anything to do with John Woo,
But it starts with the word hard, so it might. We can't rule it out.
It starts with the word hard, and there are jet skis in it, plus boats. I really enjoyed it. I would rewatch it anytime you want to put it on. Happy to watch it, and I think my 3.5 will definitely go up to a 4 the next time, or couple of times that I watch it, because I do that as well. The more I can watch a film, the better the score gets. Like my 5-star movies are usually just reserved for ones I've seen loads and loads of times.
Rewatchability definitely is a factor for me. Yeah. That's probably a good place to think about wrapping up then. So I just want to mention one last John Woo quote that I found. And that is, he says, "Logic is very boring. When I'm shooting, I do what I feel. I'm free and open." He adds that he also has no love for film theory or proper film language, and instead simply uses what he wants.
I love it.
I love it too. And if this film isn't the best example of that quote, then I don't know what is. Good
for John Woo.
Yeah. So that brings us to the end of our first episode on Hard Boiled. And we would love it if you could tune in next time.
Yeah, we're going a bit harder edge next time, aren't we?
We're going to immediately regret every choice we've made in life up to this moment as we cover not 1, not 2, not 3, but all 7 Police Academy films. What are we doing?
Yeah. We're covering, and that includes, like you said, all of them. It includes
every single one, even the shittest one.
Includes Police Academy 1. It includes Police Academy 2.
Don't name them all. Don't you dare.
All right. Well, I'll name them on the next episode.
Okay. Yeah, I'll allow it.
All right. Thanks so much for listening. If you've enjoyed the show, please consider leaving us a 5-star review on your platform of choice, and come and shoot the shit with us on social media. All the links are in the description.